Hey, what's up everyone, it's me, SpeedSuperSonic, bringing you guys another video, and welcome back to another Sonic Movie 2 piece of content. And this one is very exciting, as not only is it in relation to Sonic the Hedgehog 2, but also it sets up and is a big part in what will happen with this Sonic movie franchise going forward. The Sonic movie officially released this weekend in theaters, so opening weekends are very important. The most important weekend of when you release your movie. I know it released a week earlier in the UK, but that doesn't really count. America is the second biggest movie market outside of China. Only a couple years ago, America was the first. So it's very important that your movies do well over here. If you guys don't recall, a big part of the reason we even got this movie was because the first Sonic movie was a success at the box office. It actually was the biggest opening for any video game movie ever. Now, it had some benefits to it. Not only did it release on a holiday, which was Valentine's Day, but it was also a 4-day weekend. So technically speaking, the first one made $58 million, even if the entire weekend was a $70 million opening. And we're just speaking domestically here. So when I say domestic, think of America. That's right, bigger than Detective Pikachu. That is the biggest opening for a video game movie ever. Until now. That's right, since it is the opening weekend and it is Sunday, last week's officially done. It is the beginning of a new week, and we have our numbers for Sonic Movie 2, and it has broke its own record. That's right, the Sonic Movie 2 made $71 million at the box office this weekend. That is significantly more than the first movie. This is now the highest grossing film based off of a video game for its opening weekend, and that is something that I think we all should be really freaking I'm not sure if you guys can tell, but I have literal goosebumps on my arm right now. That's how proud I am. And before we get into this, I just want to say, make sure you're subscribed to this channel to hear about all the crazy stuff that's going to be happening with this movie universe thing that's going on with Sonic Movie 3, now the Knuckles Show, and definitely all the other projects that are going to be coming later. This is the #1 spot to be for all things Sonic, but I just thought I'd say that. Yeah, guys, this is kind of significant news. This is a huge accomplishment. This is now one of Paramount's biggest successes for an opening weekend in a very long time. Only films making more than this from Paramount were their Transformers movies that they made, a handful of the MCU films that they produced. If you guys don't know, they produced Phase 1, and I believe 1 or 2 of the J.J. Abrams Star Trek movies. But obviously, Star Trek, Marvel, and Transformers, that's good company. Who would have thought Sonic would have become Paramount's next big franchise? It's so crazy to say. This movie was originally expected to make around the $50 million range this time around, actually slightly below the first movie, and then it kind of slowly jumped up, like, okay, the highest projection it went only like yesterday was $69 million, which, yeah, I know, it's funny, but it exceeded that by $2 million to reach the $71 million mark. That is insane. But that number will jump as we get more numbers from around the world. This is a massive triumph for the Sonic movie brand. A big question mark when you go into stuff like this is like, okay, the first one did well, but will the sequels be able to catch on? Because we've seen that before. A comparison I always make with the Sonic movie franchise is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle reboot franchise that Paramount only started up like only a couple years ago. The first one did very well. It actually did better than the first Sonic movie, making almost $500 million. And they're like, okay, let's immediately do a sequel, and the sequel did not do well at all. It bombed. There's always the fear of a drop-off, that the second one won't do as well. And this didn't do that. This made more money, a significantly larger amount of money. Obviously, we don't have the final numbers yet. The first Sonic movie made around $300+ million by the time its run was over, but I believe this one will get a fair shot at China this time around, even if the release date is a little later. And the first Sonic movie kind of got halted because of a certain thing that happened around that year, 2020, we all know. But part of that perspective is the fact that there's still stuff going on in the world right now, and I know it's not as big of a deal, and a lot of people just really don't care anymore. It's kind of like, okay, this is just a thing that's gonna be around forever, so let's do this thing, let's live. But still, there is that factor, and it made more after all of this happened, which is a huge deal. There's a lot of talk about movie theaters dying in the movie industry, like all going to streaming, like what's going to happen, and then we have some movies, big blockbuster movies that come around and kind of save that. And now you have this, which has afforded that opportunity and bringing families back into the movie theaters and kids back into the movie theaters. This is a very big deal, and this is a very, very impressive feat by Sonic. This is a very good opening weekend for any movie, especially nowadays. Even though I think Deadline was the first major trade to get to these numbers, I'm going to be reading this one from the Hollywood Reporter. Box office, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 booms with a $71 million bow. Ambulance DOA, we don't need to talk about Ambulance, it's the new Michael Bay movie. Paramount Sonic the Hedgehog 2 opened to a huge $71 million and a major boost from the domestic box office revival, and particularly for the family market. I mentioned that earlier. See, Hollywood Reporter, you should should hire me as a writer. The PG-rated pick came in well ahead of expectations, starting off when earning $26.5 million from 4,234 theaters on Friday. Nearly 60% of the audience were families. Until now, titles largely depending upon kids and parents have struggled to break out because of the pandemic. Sonic 2 is also one of the few films of the COVID era to open ahead of its predecessor. Other bragging rights, it is now the biggest launch of all time for a video game adaptation, beating the first Sonic, and is also Paramount's biggest 3-day opening since 2014. They go on to talk a little bit more about the film and some other movies that opened at the box office, so we can stop there. But yeah, we should stress that this is Paramount's biggest opening weekend since 2014. That's almost 10 years ago. I think Paramount is definitely looking back at this right now, not only in relief that a movie just did super freaking well for them, but also with the franchise they have on their hands right now. We knew that Paramount was confident in this movie and this franchise as a whole when they announced Sonic 3 and a Knuckles show only a couple months ago, earlier this year. You don't just do that if you're not confident in your work. But to see this, to see it exceed expectations and be Paramount's biggest movie since 2014 for an opening weekend, let's be clear. I don't think there's any question now that Sonic the Hedgehog 3 is on the way. We already know it is, it's already been announced and confirmed, but if there was any skepticism of this film underperforming and then not getting that, I think that can be kind of cleared up now. There is no need to worry right now. We are chilling. Being chilling. I don't do this too often, but I like to have these real moments where I go off my talking points and I just like say how like freaking proud I am of Sonic right now. I know like, oh, you're proud of like a multi-billion-dollar franchise. Yes, I'm proud of it. We have had the craziest turnaround. Only a couple years ago, Sega restructured and the Sonic franchise was like mobile exclusive for a little bit. There was no merchant stores, it was so hard to find, and we didn't have games coming out, and the only thing we really had was Boom airing at 6 in the morning on Boomerang. The turnaround from that to where we are now, I think should be appreciated. We have so much content coming. Sonic is becoming one of the biggest brands in the world, and that's just beautiful to see. This is a franchise that I've been strangely dedicated to for so long, and I've always had this sense of like, why am I still here? And I felt that a little bit in like the late 2010s. I kept going. Didn't know why, but I knew I should have. And I think I know why now. Because of this. This was bound to happen, and it's happening, and we're seeing it right before our eyes. This franchise has never been in a better spot, ever. And I know people will be like, but what about the 90s? Wasn't the adventure era cool? But no, nothing can compare to this. Guys, we're 30 years into the Sonic brand, and he's finally hitting his peak. He is like becoming such a big character now, so late after being created. Sometimes it just takes time, and it's so good to see all these people coming out to the theaters in their Sonic the Hedgehog t-shirts with their Sonic plushies, just excited to watch this and knowing that there's a fan base there. It's really beautiful, and I'm so excited that I can be a part of that and witness it. I know a video about box office shouldn't probably even be made, but I think it's just the perfect opportunity to talk about this because some people might not see it as it, but I do. This is a big deal. Anyways, guys, what do you think of this? What do you think of this box office performance? How impressed are you? Let me know in the comment section down below. Feel free to follow my social media. Links to my Twitter and Instagram are in the description below. You can follow those brands. Please look at my live feature content and all things Sonic the Hedgehog. But most importantly, if you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. This is the #1 destination on YouTube for all things Sonic, whether it's video games, TV shows, movies, comic books, merchandise, and more. We talk about it all. Now that the Sonic movie 2 is kind of in the rearview mirror, I still have some videos planned for it. We're kind of shifting our gears to Sonic movie 3, the Knuckles show, Frontiers, Origins, Prime. There's a lot of projects this year, next year, and all the coming years to look forward to. So to be the first to hear info on all of that and my thoughts on all of that, make sure you are subscribed. Like I said, this is the top spot to be for Sonic the Hedgehog. You don't hear about some of this stuff anywhere else. So I love you all so much. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.
Tell me